I turn and mute it.
Okay, great. It is 4:30. I'm calling the meeting to order. And acknowledge that the District of Tofino operates within the territory of the Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation. Notice to attendees, the meeting is being video recorded and will be published on the District of Tofino's YouTube channel. Notice to virtual attendees to sign up for public comment and question period using the Q&A function in Zoom. Registered participants are required to enter their full name, residential address, and the agenda item they wish to speak to. Through unanimous consent, if there are no objections, I'll move that pursuant to section 15 of the District Meeting Procedure Bylaw number 1229/2016 is amended. The March 17, 2026 regular meeting be held electronically via Zoom and live broadcasted on the District YouTube channel. And that the facility provided for the public to watch and hear the meeting be located at Lakewood Sound Theatre, 380 Campbell Street, Tofino, BC. Seeing no objection, the motion is carried. And I have an addition to the agenda. That I'll look council for, and it is I was away last week, so I missed the agenda meeting. It is my annual request to go to the FCM Federation of Canadian Municipalities in Edmonton this year. So I have a motion. Motion that Mayor Law be authorized to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities annual conference and trade show June 4 to 7, 2026 in Edmonton, Alberta, and be reimbursed for costs in accordance with District Council Remuneration Bylaw number 1254/2018. So that's do I have to say all that right now or just put it on the agenda? Oh, okay, missed that part. Okay. And I have to vote. We have to vote on that addition, right?
Thank you, Mayor Law. I would suggest
Do I just add it?
ask a motion or proposing a motion to include it under the business initiated by council section
At 13.2.
13.2.
13.2. Okay, so that was it. I didn't have to read the whole thing. Just that it be included in the agenda item as 13.2. Any comments? All in favor? Unopposed, motion is carried. Through the chair. If there are no objections, I'll move that the March 17, 2026 regular council agenda as amended be adopted. We can second it. Okay, everybody's we can do not through not through skin. All in favor? Motion is carried, and that was seconded by Councillor Thomas. A long week. Okay, going through the consent agenda. Through unanimous consent, if there are no objections, I'll move that item 4.1 to 4.4, items 4.1 to 4.4 of the consent agenda on the regular council meeting held March 17, 2026 be approved and received. Seeing no objection, that motion is carried. Mayor's reports. Let me start off by thanking MLA and Minister of Health, Josie Osborne, for her prompt and personal response to council's letter regarding General Hospital replacement project. And I also want to thank the Minister of Infrastructure, Ellen Ma, for her prompt and personal response regarding PHC hospital replacement project. It's encouraging and that they have been so willing to respond to council's letter and interest, and I look forward to carrying on those conversations. It was an honor. It's been a couple weeks or a few weeks, but it was an honor and a pleasure to attend the Chamber of Commerce Annual Business Awards. Co-host that with Miles Beaving. It was great to see councillors there and Miss Atiana representing the district. Fun event, and it was a wonderful time to celebrate our tremendously successful and vibrant business community. It's great to see Chamber of Commerce well represented. Just Councillor Sloman and I just returned from LGLA, the Local Government Leadership Academy in Richmond. And I have to say, it's been many years, like 5 years, 6 years or something like that I've attended. And it was an excellent LGLA. The content was really good, educational and entertaining at times. And the food was the best it's ever been. So it was a really great event. I'm glad I went, and it was great to be there with Councillor Sloan. That's it for my mayor's report. Public comment and agenda items. Ms. Larson.
Thank you, Mayor Law. We don't currently have any members of the public signed up for public comment period, but we do have some members in attendance in person and over Zoom. So right now I will open the call for public comment. If you are attending via Zoom and you'd like to make a public comment, you'll need to enter your name, residential address, and the agenda item you'd like to speak to, and you can use the Q&A function to enter your information. Calling once, calling twice, calling 3 times, and there are no comments at this time.
Super. Okay, well, we're moving right along to delegations, and we have 8.1 delegation from Vance Sales, Executive Director of Broom Busters. Remote via Zoom. Sales.
Yeah. Hold on.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much for letting me speak to you today. Yeah, my name is Joanne Sales. I'm Executive Director of Broom Busters Invasive Plant Society. This is our 20th anniversary, and in the past 20 years, we have documented that Broom Busters have cut broom for 75,000 hours. Let me get the video going here. I don't see the share link. I'm clicking share. Oh, here we go. Okay. Okay. So there are so many bad things I can say about Scotch broom. Why did we cut broom for 75,000 hours? It's an alien invasive plant, spreads rapidly, forms dense thickets, crowds out native plants, prevents forest regrowth, toxic to grazing animals and wildlife, takes over farms, cleared forest and parkland, leads to a dramatic loss of biodiversity, but worst of all, it's flammable. Scotch broom is a volatile flash fuel. It'll increase a wildfire's fuel load, escalate the fire's intensity, compromise fire situations, and make fires more difficult to fight. Why is it so hazardous? It's the high oil content creates an easy ignition source. Massive amounts of dry vegetation increases fuel load, grows 9 feet tall, it's a ladder fuel, and forms dense, widespread thickets for fuel continuity. And it grows everywhere, contributing to the possibilities of urban interface fires. But I'm going to start by going south, 1,500 kilometers. The Tubbs Fire in Santa Rosa, California, and surrounding counties in 2017. During a span of more than 23 days in October 2017, this wildfire consumed 36,807 acres, destroyed 5,643 homes and buildings, and took 22 lives. My now son-in-law was in the Tubbs fire, and he was asleep at midnight when the firefighter pounded on his door and said, "You have minutes, get out." Rob rushed off the farm property in his pajamas, and the house burnt to ashes. He was living in his truck when we met him. But when Rob first came to Vancouver Island, it was May 2018, and he learned what Scotch broom was. That Scotch broom, that was the plant that covered the fields where I lived in Santa Rosa. I didn't know it was flammable. No wonder the farm burnt so quickly. So I visited Santa Rosa after the fire, but that's not what got my attention. This is what got my attention. Santa Rosa area is rebuilding, and to prevent another catastrophic wildfire, their top priority is eliminate Scotch broom. Their ordinance reads, it explicitly names Scotch broom as a non-native hazardous vegetation that must be removed if it's within 30 feet of a public right-of-way, 100 feet of a structure, and 30 feet of a property line. Sonoma County, surrounding counties have similar ordinances. So the sale of Scotch broom is illegal anywhere in California. So reality check. These ordinances will not pass here. Timing and budgets will not allow. But what can we do? Understand the plant, know how to eliminate it, join with others, and do it. So here's some things we've learned about Scotch broom over 20 years. It's the top offender of biodiversity in BC. If you look at this chart, the top bar that's much greater than all the rest of them, those are invasive plants and animals in BC. Scotch broom is the worst. Most of the harm is done by competition, habitat degradation, and alteration. Scotch broom is a global problem. These were pictures taken by local BC people that went to New Zealand, and they could not believe what they saw. Broom and gorse had replaced the forest, and we're wondering, shouldn't we stop the spread of broom before this happens in BC? Scotch broom is especially difficult to control on steep banks, beaches, and islands. So the good news about Tofino, this is an environmentally conscious community. Broom came later to the West Coast, so it could become broom-free. Bad news about Tofino is multiple jurisdictions very close together, only one road in and out of the community. And broom is now on the Wild Pacific Trail. It could be elsewhere on the West Coast or ocean banks, and that is very difficult to eradicate. Broom has taken hold of the Tofino Airport and along the Pacific Rim Highway. These are pictures I took a couple years ago. So in 2024, Tofino supported Redfish with broom busters, holding a broom cut in Tofino as their West Coast triple plank restoration project. And 50 volunteers showed up in the pouring rain. It was a great day. So these volunteers demonstrated that the will is there, is here in Tofino. All that is needed is an area organizer or a group. So, like I said, this is Broombuster's 20th anniversary. Here is what we've learned in 20 years of cutting broom. And I'm going to move through this pretty quickly, but it's all on our website if you have interest in the details. So you cut broom and bloom, cut level with the ground or below with loppers. If it's cut too high, the plant regrows. Find the single stalk as it enters the ground, cut it. Leave no stem above the ground, not even a ½ inch. Broom spreads by seeds, not by roots or pieces of the plant. 18,000 seeds per plant each year, and the seeds are viable on the soil for up to possibly 70 years. But the seeds only sprout in the sun. Grass and ground cover will cover the seeds and prevent them from sprouting. So we don't pull or dig mature broom. Okay, pulling disturbs the soil. The dormant seeds are there and they will be exposed to light and sprout. So you would get rid of one plant and you would get 50 more. So pulling actually does more harm than good. But the broom root in the ground will die in the ground and be harmless. Can you pull small broom? Yes. Pull broom that's smaller than a pencil. Cut broom that's bigger than a pencil. So you notice the straight unbranched root of the ones that are okay to pull. This does not disturb the soil, but if allowed, grass, salal, native plants, and even weeds will provide shade and the dormant seeds will not sprout. The picture there, you see there, all that dense broom, that means somebody disturbed the soil somewhere along the line. So why cut in the spring? It's because the roots are the weakest when the energy of the plant is above the ground forming flowers. So the cut is then followed by the dry heat of summer and the root will die. So cut broom in bloom or just before mid-April to end of May and stop cutting when the seed pods form. Big broom dies easily. Don't try to cut it with loppers, use a saw, but then you can peel it back like a banana or cut off all the manageable branches, remove all the green, and the big broom will die in the summer's heat. So that you don't always have to take that down to ground level. Sometimes there's really messy multi-stalk broom. Try to get around it and cut it. But if you can't do that, get a hatchet out, chop it up, mangle it, make it miserable, and the summer sun will dry it out. Oh, okay. Okay, mowing doesn't kill broom. It'll come back. It'll grow back if you use any electric tool that leaves the stem above the ground. So here's a major problem on Vancouver Island. Broom on the power lines greatly increases the danger that fire could spread across the island. And unfortunately, most of Vancouver Island is connected by power lines that are largely covered with flammable broom. In 2023, AVICC and UBCM passed the resolution Control of Scotch Broom, calling for local broom removal and fire breaks on long stretches of broom. Now it looks like these could be possibly small plants, but the picture on the right, you can see that it's 9 feet tall compared to that person. So broom busting is fun. It works. I'm going to go through just some pictures of other areas that are very active with broom busters. And we didn't pay these people to smile. Actually, broom busting becomes very addicting. There's one man in Parksville who cuts broom for well over 200 hours a year. So here's the Comox Valley. Comox Valley Regional District. Coquitlam. Powell River. It was a fire chief that actually started the group in Powell River because of it being so flammable. Parksville Qualicum area. So this is a list of the major participating local governments. But what can Tofino do? First of all, educate the public about the fire hazard of broom and how to control it. And encourage landowners to clear broom on private property. Reduce disposal fees and make it easier to dispose of broom at the landfill. And this is something that's very helpful. It's pass a bylaw about Scotch broom. It makes a huge difference. The following communities passed a bylaw about Scotch broom since the time the broom busters started cutting. Nanaimo, Parksville, Lanceville, Port Alberni, Qualicum Beach, Comox Valley Regional District. Others are considering it and in the process. It makes it such a difference because if somebody has broom on their property, you can actually explain, yes, this is why we have suggested you get rid of it. If they don't then voluntarily do it, you have something you can do. Also, Tofino can form a volunteer group, find 1 or 2 community organizers who can keep an email list, communicate with district staff, arrange a few cutting days, both within Tofino and on ACRD land, and work with Ucluelet and Pacific Rim National Park. So ACRD strongly supports broom busters, and broom busters can help Tofino do that. That's just what we do. That's what broom busters does. And we share this photo because it's just too good. A rare broom photo by volunteers. So the world has gone crazy. I think we can all admit that. And broom busting is something that we can do. It builds community and it restores hope. So cut the bloomin' broom.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. It didn't go away.
You stop sharing.
Share. There we go.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, great. I'm a big fan of broom busting. Open it up to council. Council, comments, questions for council? Councilor Anderson.
I just had a question. You said that the ACRD strongly supports broom busting. Just wondering, I'm not aware of what actions they've taken. Maybe you could share those if you know about them.
Yeah, so the ACRD has given us a grant to help pay with chipping. I'm really glad you asked this because that's something that we can do. It's like one of the priorities is the West Coast. Okay, so inside the municipalities, the general rule is that the municipality will remove broom, but in the ACRD and RDN and so on, then you would pay or broom busters or whatever the organization group would pay a local tree service to chip the broom. And so then we have some funds to help pay for that. Broom Busters has that to help the West Coast ACRD.
Okay, thanks.
Councilor Steer.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
Good to see you. And it was good to add that. And I was going to also add in terms of the ACRD contributions, which may be applicable to the West Coast, in terms of our landfill, the ability to reduce those or eliminate the tipping fees that will be associated with that. And we now have our organics processing out at the landfill. So, and one of the challenges when Joanne and I first got together on these conversations was finding a local champion, and that has that connection with Redfish was a good one, and we had a previous connection before then. That has been a challenge in terms of finding that consistent organizing body to do that, and we're still outreaching there for that. So I didn't know if you had any updates in terms of that relationship with Redfish in terms of an organizing body here on the West Coast, or if you had any updates if anyone else has taken up that mantle.
No, we haven't heard from anybody. I will reach out to the groups that I knew, and I was kind of waiting to do the presentation to Tofino and to Clulet before reaching out to them. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And if I may add through the chair, Joanne, if you haven't already, maybe through the Rank Coast Education Society, which does have a potential pool of volunteers that you may be able to tap into. I have mentioned it to the executive director there, Mark Mafty, who also sits on council in Ucluelet. So it may be a good connection there to maybe tap somebody within that organization to look out to for our broom busting contingent.
Yeah. Well, it's not really that hard of a job, because it's just a matter of having a group of volunteers, and you might have 5 volunteers. I mean, that was 50, when we did the Redfish event. But seriously, a group of 5 volunteers can do an awful lot. So, it doesn't have to be a major event. And then, you can have 3 cuts a year. It doesn't have to be 20 or 30, So it's a pretty simple job if you start small and then it grows organically.
Thank you. And one last through the chair. And I know that there was a conversation about potentially asking the district for some support, potentially in terms of pickups. And I might look to staff to see if that is a possibility. And maybe with our public works staff, there may be some questions around their work planning and what might be available at this kind of busy time of the year. So I might look to staff if they might be able to give some possibilities of what support Public Works may be able to provide if we were to find a coordinating person to get that moving.
Yeah. One point I'd like to make about that is that as far as disposal goes, we always stop cutting as soon as the seed pods form. So the branches are harmless until there's seeds on them. So it can just go into a green landfill. Doesn't have to go into, doesn't have to be buried.
Super. And I'm going to go to Councilor Sloman first, and then we'll go back to staff, because I think that was requested.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I was a landscaper on the coast here for 22 years, and I've battled a lot of broom. My question is I can't quite recall if broom seeds. I know you're saying not to cut them, but I'm just wondering for like educational purposes, would broom seeds break down in our landfill? Do you know, like with the heated composting, if they enter that system?
Well, it really depends on how hot the seeds are. I know in the RDN now they're not worrying about whether you put broom seeds into your green bin, because the heat is hot enough to kill the seeds. So but because of caution, that's why we stop cutting the broom as soon as there are any seed pods. Did that answer the question? I don't know if it did. I don't know whether the compost, every compost is different. In Vancouver, they have just a really intense burning, so that definitely destroys the seeds. So in every community is different.
And just a question, Ms. Hales, before we go to staff and look at that, what are you looking for specifically for for potential staff help? Is it 3 times a year in the spring, or right about now, where the broom busters get out there, make a couple big piles on a specific day, and then hopefully staff will be able to come by and pick them up and potentially take them to land for and chip them? What are you looking for? What do other towns do?
Yeah. So, well, let's take Qualicum Beach, for example, because that's where we started 20 years ago. So broombusters will arrange all of the cutting and so on, but in communication with some person, like if there is public works, sometimes it might be a parks person, somebody on the staff in communication with that one person so that they know what we're doing. And so then we would sometime in mid-April to the end of May have, say we're going to be doing these cuts. And so then there's going to be piles here and here and here. And then, they would arrange to pick it up. But it's also the reason why we want to have a staff person is they can say, well, we can't take any more this year, or we would prefer you to work only on, this section of the town this year, and then we'll go to the next section the next year. So it's an organic, interactive relationship. It can start small, and then nobody's surprised by anything, or being overwhelmed.
Super. Okay, well, we don't have much time because we've got a public hearing. So I'm just going to turn it over to staff and maybe we can look for a staff comment. And if council wants to, we can direct staff further if you'd like a report back or something like that. So over to you, Mrs. Tian.
Thank you. I'm actually going to get Mr. Kirk. to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, through the chair, we can certainly, Public Works can certainly support with all of these activities that Joanne is mentioning. With helping to coordinate where potential locations could be and then to help coordinate with pickup and disposal and stuff like that.
Super. I think that sounds great. Now, do we need a motion for staff report, or do we need a motion to direct staff to be a liaison with Broom Busters? Do we need anything from council?
I think you can direct staff to be the liaison with Broom Busters. I think having to come back with the staff report may maybe a bit onerous for now to meet the timelines
Sure.
of the season.
Sure.
So I think it's a chance.
Yeah, I don't think we need a staff report anyway. It seems like a pretty straightforward thing. Do we need a motion to create or
So I think
suggest a staff liaison?
yes, I think yeah, referring the request from Broom Busters to staff and we can coordinate directly.
Okay, well then I'll quickly make that motion from the chair that council refer the request from Broom Busters to staff to implement the liaison. Seconded by Councillor Steer. Any further comments? Being none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. Good work.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Great. And we're going to call a recess right now, reconvene at just before 5 o'clock for a public.
Mics are unmuted.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. I'm calling the public hearing to order. I'm going to read the statement from the chair. March 17th, 2026, 5 o'clock, District of Tofino Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1290.02, 2025. This public hearing is being held to receive and consider submissions regarding the proposed District of Tofino Official Community Plan Amendment Bylaw number 1290.02, 2025. Which proposes to amend the official community plan bylaw by including updates related to the 2024 interim housing needs assessment, new provincial housing legislation, and growth management policies reflecting the district's water limited capacity. Anyone who believes their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw will have an opportunity to be heard either by speaking directly or through a representative or by submitting written comments. No one will be prevented or discouraged from making their views known. However, it is important that speakers restrict their comments to only those matters contained in the proposed bylaw. As Chair, it is my responsibility to ensure that this restriction is honored. No decision will be made at this hearing. The entire proceedings will be considered by District of Tofino Council at a subsequent meeting. Council's function today is to listen to the views of the public, not to debate the merits of the proposed bylaw. However, council members may ask questions of individual speakers, clarify what is being said. This public hearing is the final opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed bylaw. Council is not permitted to receive further submissions once we have closed this hearing. Documents received by council relating to the proposed bylaw are available for review in the public hearing document book that was previously available in the district office. Again, available in the council chamber today, is not to be removed. Written comments submitted during the hearing will be added to the public hearing document book. If you submitted written comments during the notice period, you are not required to restate your views verbally today. Personal information such as names and addresses that are directly related to council's consideration of the effects of the proposed bylaw and are being collected under section 26C of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Act. Questions about how personal information will be used or disclosed can be addressed to the District of Tofino Director of Corporate Services. To maintain order and to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to be heard, our rules of procedure are as follows. To sign up to address council with your comment, please proceed to the podium and begin your remarks by clearly stating your name and address. If you are speaking on behalf of an organization or on another person, please identify the name and address of that organization or person. If you are speaking from prepared remarks, we would appreciate a copy. If you are joining remotely via Zoom, open the Q&A function window, the webinar controls from your device, click on the Ask Question tab, and type in your full legal name and address. Do not type your comment. Staff member will respond and add your name to the speakers list. The chair will call upon each speaker when it is their turn to comment. Speakers joining remotely via Zoom will be unmuted for up to 5 minutes. However, your video function will not be permitted. Please limit remarks and comments to 5 minutes. Matters contained in the proposed bylaw only. After everyone has spoken once, those wishing to speak again will have an opportunity to sign up again. Council members may ask questions of speakers, clarify what has been said. However, no other replies, rebuttals, or additional submissions will be heard without chair's permission. Thank you. Moving on to 3.2 public notice summary. Related documents. On to 4, written submissions received during the notice period. Mr. Welsh, you have details of submissions.
In regard, thank you, Mayor. In regard to bylaw number 1290.02 2025, we received 0.
Moving on to item 5, applicant agent staff presentations. We have none. Moving on to item 6, public input. Do we have, Ms. Larson's, any written or requests? Nothing signed up?
Thank you, Mayor Law. There were no submissions or no one signed up on the public hearing speakers list in person, and there's no one signed up remotely via Zoom.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to make a verbal request for submissions from the public, either present or virtually present. I'm calling for public input submissions once, twice, and I'll make a final call for submissions from the public. Hearing none, I will adjourn. Just a question for process. Do I need to have a motion for adjournment? Okay, I'm the chair. I'll move the public hearing be adjourned. Seconder, Councilor Anderson. All in favor? None opposed, motion is carried. The public hearing is adjourned. Regular meeting into item 8.2. We have a delegation from Braden Clark. Welcome. Executive Director of the Tofino Chamber of Commerce.
Right. Hello, Mayor Law, Council, staff. I'm Braden Clark, Executive Director of the Tofino Chamber of Commerce. I appreciate the opportunity today to talk about our fee-for-service contract from 2024 to 2025 annual report. The Chamber, we're committed to advocating for a business community, providing value to our members, and fostering the general business community for learning, development, and economic growth. I'll just speak a bit about our membership overview for the last year. We ended the year with 371 members, 31 of them are new, and we had 95% retention year over year, which was another year of having over the Canadian average of 92%. So I think that speaks to our members seeing value in their chamber membership. And more than just growing, we continue to diversify the types of businesses, including more artists, self-employed individuals, and entrepreneurs. The service agreement between the Tofino Chamber of Commerce and the district outlines our responsibilities to promote the economic well-being of the Tofino business community. And this agreement ensures that we effectively use public funds and strengthen collaboration between our organizations. There are 5 key elements: support, promotion, the economic profile, roundtables, and communication. I'll go through each of these and explain in 2025 how we do. So starting with business support. In 2025, we responded to numerous inquiries, provided essential resources to our members, and our primary role is advocacy. And we've continued to be a strong voice for businesses, ensuring that priorities are heard at all levels of government. There are 2 key issues we helped to advocate. One was our shared disappointment with the recent decision not to approve the Tofino General Hospital concept plan, and the other being the lack of timely communication and meaningful consultation regarding Highway 4 infrastructure. Both of these are shared priorities with the District of Tofino and the community as a whole, and I wanted to highlight those. And beyond advocating on behalf of the business community, we're also committed to strengthening our ties between us and other organizations in Tofino and outside. So within Tofino, we renewed the MOU with the District of Tofino and Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation. We signed a friendship accord with the nation as well. We engaged Tourism Tofino on their destination stewardship plan and engaged with 30 nonprofits as part of the Outer Coast Working Group. It's important to us as a chamber to have strong relationships with all community organizations, including the district, and be able to advocate for business interests within the community as well. Outside of the community, we were committed to strengthening our ties with other economic organizations such as the Vancouver Island Economic Alliance, industry groups, and with other resort communities. Last year, we advocated on the RCIP and temporary foreign workers plans with the Resorts Community Chamber Coalition. So that's 14 resort communities coming together with our unique perspective on the needs of housing, staff challenges, and particular needs in BC and Alberta around what it takes to run a business in a resort community. So it's those sorts of organizations that we get through being part of the chamber network and being able to advocate as a stronger voice and not just Tofino on our own. Moving on to business promotion. So we strengthened our connections within our business community by providing platforms for learning, networking, and professional growth. From business support sessions and industry-specific gatherings, we are able to bring different sectors together with the aim of creating meaningful engagement in the community. Some highlights from 2025 included the Women Entrepreneurs of BC Community Mentorship Program, Chamber Luncheons, the Secondary School Tourism Discovery Day, and the Business Supports Roadshow. And these all provided opportunities for businesses to showcase themselves and learn from others and share resources. We're also committed to work with our partners on workforce development initiatives, including the West Coast Ambassadors Program. So we're doing that, and our perspective mainly is getting businesses to sign on for the West Coast Ambassadors card and showing business support in the program as a whole. And we have quite a few businesses who have supported the Ambassadors Program. And also last year, we completed work on our business retention and expansion program, which was presented to council. A major milestone last year was also the launch of the Arts and Commerce Hub. And I would just want to take this opportunity to highlight that we now have a dedicated space, and it's in the Tofino Legion downstairs, renovated. It's available for both as a business space for meetings for our members, and also the Tofino Arts Council is doing their own arts programming in there as well. So it's really a joint space for multiple organizations that allows our members to access resources more physically as well. And additionally, we continue to grow our chamber benefits through the BC network. So ensuring businesses have access to discounts and savings that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get. And their group health benefits plan remains a valuable resource for our members looking to support their teams with comprehensive additional health coverage. And I just want to highlight the Business Excellence Awards as a particular event. So 2025 was the first year that we brought back the gala. And this was a platform to recognize and celebrate outstanding local businesses and boost morale and motivation in the community. The District of Tofino was a key partner, so both through financial support and then also showing up. We got a lot of positive comments that the district was there. This year was particularly special because Mayor Law volunteered to be our fearless MC, and we got a lot of great feedback from that as well. So I just wanted to thank you all for your continued support for the event and just showcase what happens when we work in partnership together with organizations. So moving on to the community economic profile, this is a 27-page document that provides critical data for businesses and potential investors, is maintained on our website. As new data becomes available from Statistics Canada and other sources, the Chamber updates this as we receive it. So it's sort of an ongoing basis and we're checking in on it, and you can access it on our website anytime. And business roundtables. So in 2025, we hosted a business roundtable on a variety of topics. The first being the culinary sector event on tariffs and suppliers and how they affect businesses. That was in the spring. In October, we had an event workshopping the business retention expansion report with our members. And in December, we had a holiday members luncheon where Lord Sean spoke, and it was mostly pertaining to federal issues. So there are multiple opportunities for the business community to engage and provide their feedback. And going forward, I just want to mention with roundtables, we haven't had a physical space in the past, so it's mainly been through our business partners and through sponsorship. And this is something that has the potential to change because we can now bring people in. So if there were sector-specific roundtables that the district is interested in hosting, we're more than happy to be able to host them ourselves on a more regular basis, if you're interested in. And finally, the last section is the communication with the district. So the Chamber remains at your disposal regarding how best to direct targeted communications through this contract. And the biggest evolution over the past couple of years has been the formalizing our engagement with staff. So we have ongoing meetings with last year with planning, recreation, communication, public works, and the emergency program coordinator. And some of these are month to month or quarterly meetings, and some of them are on an as-needed basis. So I think with the ongoing meetings, it's a really good way to touch base and make sure we're aligned on our communications and our strategies. And as things come up, district staff is more than welcome to reach out to us if there's anything we can help with. We continue to meet on an ongoing basis as well with the CAO to address strategic priorities and operational alignment, particularly with the MOU as it relates to Tla-o-qui-aht First Nation. And additionally, in 2025, the Chamber directly advocated to Council and their board to council meetings on specific topics as well. I think a big lesson coming out of 2025 was that more direct communication would benefit both our organizations. And there's more opportunity for feedback from the business community and then also from council as well. So the Chamber welcomes any direct feedback from the council and meetings board to council as well. And I'd just like to take the opportunity to highlight our board and speak to the strength of our chamber. Chambers across BC are struggling, particularly in Q&amp, and I just want to mention that that's not the case for our chamber. So we've existed for nearly 100 years. We have a strong and active board of directors, engaged membership, full-time staff, and consistent year-over-year reserve funds. We're in a strong position to continue to provide value to our members and advocate for the business community and build relationships. Our board of directors will turn over 100%. So they're all coming back, and I just want to take the opportunity to thank them because they're all volunteers and they're giving their time on top of their full-time jobs. With that said, the Tofino Chamber relies on two key relationships without which it'd be very difficult to continue. One is Tourism Tofino, who we work quite closely with, and the second is with the District of Tofino, who we rely on for its fee-for-service. Board and I are keen to continue working together and being able to spend some time updating and evolving the agreement in 2026 as community needs. And I'll just touch on, this was presented last year, but I'll just touch on our strategic plan as well. Our four key priority areas are clarity, collaboration, growth, and impact. And I think our relationship with the district fits into all of these, whether it's growing the business economy, communicating with the district, and collaborating together. And the full strategic plan can be found on our website. And I just want to say once again, thank you. As we step into 2026, we'll continue to work together alongside our members to address their key issues and ideally work with the district as well and our regional partners. And now, open up to any questions you have.
Super. Thank you, Mr. Clerk. This is the first time you've presented.
It is.
ED.
Yeah, it's the first time I presented at a council meeting.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
welcome. It's great to have you. It's great to see you in the position. Thanks much. I'm going to open it up to council for questions or comments. Anybody? Go ahead.
I was wondering if you could share with us some of the specific projects that the fee for service funds have gone towards. So the $20,000 that has to the chamber. Is there specific projects that money has gone towards?
Yeah, so the fee for service is not allocated project to project, but I can't speak to what has generally been funded on. So it's those 5 key areas. I would say the majority of which would be the business roundtables, which are more expensive or historically have been more expensive. I would estimate roughly between 5 and 10,000 of it would go to the roundtables. The community economic profile is smallest. That's just staff time updating it. In general, business promotion as well is sort of an ongoing the way the fee for service is worded right now, it kind of encompasses everything we do. So it's hard to pick out exactly. And I think that's why for the next fee for service, we're looking at putting specific budgeting line items into each section so we can really see where the money's going, because we haven't been tracking it historically.
Yeah, those discussions are ongoing. It's great. Any other comments? Comments from anybody on the table? Seeing none. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, look forward to having you back. Okay, moving on to correspondence. We have correspondence from Honorable Marilyn McEwen, Mayor regarding a regional partnership request for a wildlife safety and conservation officer initiative. And I'm just going to reboot my screen here. I'm going to open it up to council. Any comments from council? Councillor Steer.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Yeah, I did want to speak a little bit to it, and I know a part of that request I don't think is going to be feasible this year in terms of we are deeply into budget, and I don't think it'd be appropriate at this time to add that to the budget line item. I do also want to point out, as I know council and Mayor are well aware of the work that we have done locally in terms of the work, in terms of our Bear Smart designation, the work we've done on our attractant bylaw. So the work that we've done through the district has been very progressive in general, and I would look to support the District of Q&amp in their work, but in this particular instance, instance, I don't know if it, in terms of the contribution from specifically the district, I know through the ACRD, there's been good conversation and support through the Sort and Go program with some of the conversations and some of the challenges that has had in the municipality of Ucluelet. And so I think I'd love to hear the rest of council, but I wouldn't be supportive right now in terms of financial support for that request for a BC conservation type service, that type of involvement at this point in time.
Okay, Councillor Sloman.
Yeah, my thought was very similar. I feel like we have become a very safe community, and maybe we could share some of the steps that we did to achieve that with the District of Ucluelet, so maybe they could gain some leverage in protecting their bears through what we've accomplished or what we've done.
Down here, we'll go
And
on.
then my other thought was I thought a conservation was a provincially funded position. So I kind of have a little bit of hesitancy supporting provincial position when I believe that provincial dollars should be paid for that.
Yeah, I just have a comment on it because I just spoke to the CEO. But without, it was kind of a unique funding situation where Ucluelet, ACRD were able to fund a part-time position, I think, and they're permanent. So it's a unique situation. It seems to me. Conservation officer it's they're thin on the ground, that's for sure. So any increase in CO service anywhere in the province would be welcome. Whether or not it's suitable here, I think we're going to go around the table and see what the councillors think. But I've got you right here. For notes at the end. Councillor Anderson.
Well, I just, I'm in agreement with Councillor Steer and Councillor Sloman. I don't think we're struggling with our budget right now, trying to keep it down. So I don't think it's a good time to be adding expenses. It is something that if there's council support, maybe could be looked at for the 2027 budget. And I much prefer considering things as a whole and not sort of adding things at this late stage in the budget process. So that's where I'm at. And I agree, the efforts that we've made in Tofino have had impact and public education and the formerly Bear Aware program have gone a long ways to towards wildlife safety in Tofino. So we continue to work on that. I'm sure that a conservation officer funding would really make much difference to that program. So that's where I'm.
I think all comments that I had have been covered. We're late in the budget process to bring this forward. I don't think it's completely unreasonable, and that obviously it's something that stretches across the region for sure. And might be something to work towards in the future, but I think that's not good timing to get it in. But if they have something going forward for this season, we can see how their successes go with the funding of them and the CRD for a part-time position, and then maybe they would be able to come back to us in the fall of the year when kind of the high season's over. And we could sit down and discuss it then, or the next council can sit down and discuss it then, going into the budget season, what successes there are, and talk about what a cost sharing model would look like. Because I know historically, Tofino and cost sharing tend to be built on housing values and things, and I don't think that would be a model that would work for business.
Great. I have a couple final comments. So just to be clear, the 2026 budget, or sorry, 2027 budget process, I'm sorry. The budget process is almost being finalized, so it's not appropriate to add a budget item now. So it would be the 2027 process. And I did speak to the CEO, and although I think it's great to have community support more conservation officer service, 13 bears were euthanized, and that has a significant impact on the bear population. And how that plays out this year, we'll see, but it probably will affect the number of bears, the problem bears are included, sorry. And it does seem to potentially buy as you cool the time. And I know they're working on their Bear Smart program, even though the Bear Smart program doesn't exist anymore. It's all the elements are there. And I think it would be a great idea to reach out for staff, perhaps to reach out to Ucluelet and to see if they need any assistance in understanding all the steps that Tofino took and what's worked, maybe what hasn't worked, and to work with that kind of partnership at this time and see how the year goes. I agree with Councilor Thomas that in the fall, we'll see how the summer plays out for Ucluelet, we'll see how far they get along with their bylaws and enforcement and all that good stuff. And then it may be good to revisit this sometime as 2027 budget takes flight. That's my comments. Sounds like council is fairly unanimous. Any other comments? Okay. Move on to 9.2, correspondence from town of Tla-o-qui-aht regarding 2026 SILGA resolution, PC building code amendments. Any comments from council? No. Moving on to presentations and reports, 10.10 Gibson Street Road proposal report. Kirkland.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This evening I'll be presenting the Gibson Street temporary road closure report. Purpose of the report and presentation is to receive a council resolution to temporarily close the one-way section of Gibson Street to vehicle traffic while maintaining the offshore parking configuration. So background, the installation of the sanitary force main required for the wastewater treatment plant construction along Gibson Street necessitated the temporary removal of bollards and other vehicle restricting barriers to allow heavy equipment access for construction. And then with the pending completion of the headwaters development, which would increase the population in the Tonquin neighborhood, the need for and the opportunity to increase offshore parking capacity, staff determined this was an appropriate time to open this section of road to one-way traffic. Since implementing this change, staff have received consistent community feedback expressing safety concerns related to speeding, stop sign compliance, and compliance with the direction of travel. So in response, staff have implemented several mitigation measures, including enhanced traffic safety signage, the installation of a speed bump, and increased compliance monitoring throughout the entire Gibson Street corridor through bylaw enforcement, resourcing, and collaborating with the RCMP. So the recommendation to temporarily close this corridor is based on several key considerations, with pedestrian and vehicle safety interface at the forefront. Through community feedback and staff observations, we've identified consistent safety concerns related to vehicle behavior. These include excessive speeds, limited visibility when traveling uphill, and when entering the two-way section of Gibson Street. and the presence of a high number of children in the area during peak morning and afternoon hours. So taken together, these factors elevate safety as the primary driver for the recommendation. Low compliance with existing traffic controls has been confirmed through resident reports, but also through direct observations by law enforcement officers and the RCMP. And again, throughout the entire Gibson Street stretch from First all the way down to Campbell. Data collected shows that most drivers exceed the posted speed limit, especially when traveling uphill in the blind spot when you come up from First Street towards 3rd Street. And as I mentioned before, that many drivers fail to stop at the stop sign before entering the two-way section of Gibson Street and the overlap with that coinciding with kids on the road near the school. From a design perspective, the one-way section is not designed to function as it transitions into a two-way roadway under transportation engineering standards. This requires further evaluation, which will be addressed through the upcoming transportation infrastructure master plan, which is in the financial plan for this year. This master planning work will take a holistic district-wide approach to road and sidewalk infrastructure, helping the district avoid reactive and piecemeal decision-making. As part of this process, staff will review Gibson Street as a complete corridor to include looking at opportunities to coordinate future capital upgrades that could potentially extend back to 4th Street, where there's recent improvements to water main and sewer down below, which kind of goes to the next step of public realm improvements. This approach would help better integrate this section into the district's broader transportation network. And temporarily closing the corridor will also reduce the need for frequent reactive pothole and drainage management that the public works staff has to do, allowing public works staff to redirect their time and resources toward planned and higher priority initiatives throughout the community. It's important to note that the temporary closure does not affect the offshore parking spaces that have been created as a result of opening the corridor. And in fact, will reduce dust accumulation and safety of users parking in that stretch. Finally, under section 38 of the community charter, council has the authority to temporarily close sections of local roads by resolution to staff. And that authority is the basis for the report and the recommendation that is going to be before you this evening. Pending council moving the recommendation through motion, staff would proceed with closing the road right of way and converting the section to offshore parking only in the area, in accordance with the plan that was included as an appendix in council's package. As part of this work, staff would also complete during the closure the drainage that is required adjacent to the school, so that the road area is graded towards the catch basins in that location. And staff would also ensure that there would be advanced warning signage to remind drivers of the new changes closing the road right of way. All this work would be carefully communicated through district social media channels and coordinated with residents in the areas. There would be a shift in the current parking configuration in front of the school, and coordinated with staff at the Wickenish Elementary School to minimize disruptions. With that, I'll leave the recommendation on the screen and for up to questions, council conversation.
Super. Thanks for the presentation and thanks for coming back with this. Good to see your response. So quick, so thorough. Let's go around. Councillor Sloman.
Yeah, my first question would be regarding the users that did not follow signs or speeds or direction. How can what steps will be taken to ensure that this behavior doesn't just get pushed down to Neil Street?
Great question through the chair. And as staff do with all across divisions with other areas of town, there would be monitoring to see if there would be any change or impacts to how the volume or potentially that specific demographic of users how those behaviors would interact with other areas, like on Neil Street or Campbell Street or even Main Street if it was pushed out further. That answers the question.
I think I was more looking for like, will there be increased signage on Neil Street?
Through the chair, that's a good question. Neil Street was recently upgraded to add a sidewalk and solidify like what the path of travel was on that at that location. So there wouldn't be immediate additional signage that was added. However, if observed behaviors necessitated additional signage, that could be something that may be considered in the future.
That clarified.
Excellent. Yeah. Questions for clarity, comments from council? One more?
Yeah, I just had one more question. I was just wondering if fines were given out to those people that chose to speak past children?
Through the chair, I don't have that data from the RCMP about the amount or if any, how many tickets have been given in that area.
It was great to see the RCMP so responsive, and I noted that they were there monitoring that road and speeders and people running the stop sign and going the wrong way, so it's great. Thanks so much. Seeing no other comments or questions, would the councillor volunteer to read the recommendation for us?
Yeah, I move that staff be authorized to temporarily close the one-way portion of Gibson Street between First Street and Third Street while maintaining the current offshore parking configuration.
Councillor Steer, for the comments, all in favor? None opposed, motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
On to item 10.2, loan authorization bylaw number 1253. Report from finance. We have no PowerPoint. We have Mr. Andre available for questions. I don't have a question, but I got a comment. It's like, well done. It's been great. So it's once again, this is a fantastic success, and it's rare, I think, in the municipal world to see a project like this come to fruition on time, under budget, and then again, we're seeing this motion for us. So thank you very much. Any questions, comments from council? Seeing none, would the councillor volunteer to read the recommendation before us?
I can do that. I'll move that the council confirms that there will be no further borrowing against the District of Tofino loan authorization bylaw number 1253/2018, being District of Tofino loan authorization bylaw number 1253/2018, and the remaining unissued loan authorization in the amount of $6,002,000 be cancelled.
Second by Councillor Thomas. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Motion's carried. Moving on, 10.3, we have a general local election, appointment of election officers. Again, we have no presentation, but Ms. Larson. Sorry, no PowerPoint.
Hi, thank you, Mayor and Council. I don't have a presentation this evening, but I did just want to introduce the report in front of you that recommends appointment of election officers for the upcoming 2026 general local election. So under the Local Government Act, Council is required to appoint a chief election officer and a deputy chief election officer. And within the organization, it's customary to appoint the corporate officer or the director of corporate services role as chief election officer. And if I am appointed, I'll be responsible for the statutory duties involved in administering the election. So that includes drafting and posting statutory notices, managing nominations, voting opportunities, ballot counting, and the declaration of the official voting results. The deputy chief election officer would support this work and act in my place if needed. And then after council appoints a chief election officer and a deputy chief election officer, staff will continue work preparing for the election. This is scheduled to be held Saturday, October 17th of 2026, with one advanced voting day and then mail-in ballot voting opportunities as well. Planning is already underway, including the confirmation of voting venues, finalizing key election dates, preparing information for candidates and for the newly elected council. Staff will also be developing communications and updating the elections page on our website to ensure the public is well informed of the process as we move through the year. So that's it for me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Super. We'll do a quick scan of council for questions. Seeing none, would the councillor volunteer to read the recommendation before us?
I move that pursuant to sections 51 and 2 of the Local Government Act, Jamie Larson be appointed Chief Election Officer for conducting the 2026 general local election, with power to appoint other election officials as required for the administration and conduct of the 2026 general local election, and that Robin Hapner be appointed Deputy Chief Election Officer for the 2026 general local election.
Seconded by councillor Anderson. The comments, all in favor? Seeing none, motion is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to section 11, we have item 11.1, District of Tofino Water Utility Amendment Bylaw, and this is for adoption. There are no burning questions from council. Would the councillor volunteer to read this one?
Okay, I'll move that District of Tofino Water Utility Amendment Bylaw number 1346.1 2026 be adopted.
Second by Mr. Thomas. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor? None opposed, motion carried. 11.2, District of Tofino Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1355 for adoption. This is essential service structures.
Again, I'll move that District of Tofino zoning amendment bylaw number 1355 2025 be adopted.
Second by councillor Thomas. Any further comments? All in favor? None opposed, motion is carried. Unfinished business, we're moving on to section 13, business and issued by council members. 13.1, committee and external appointments. Councillor Sloan.
Yeah, over the weekend, with the Tourism Tofino Board, I attended and participated in the Parade of Whales and Wonder with staff and family members of the staff. And that was a really well-attended event. It was a beautiful sunny day, lots of children were out. And lots of businesses really showcased the wonderful floats. It was really a great event. And the Tourism Tofino Board and staff gave out plastic-free candy. It's great. And on February 24th, I attended a Tofino Tourism Board meeting, and we reviewed and accepted the 2025 year-end financials. And it was also resolved that the ED and chair post the RFP for the paving of the visitor center parking lot and manage the RFP process in-house. And the nominees for the 2026 board election were approved. And it was also resolved to attach the Tla-o-qui-aht name change letter to the Geographical Names Office. And a date of importance is the annual general meeting is March 24th.
Excellent. Thank you. Council, any other committee or external appointment reports? Councillor Steer.
Yes, thank you through the chair. I was, as you know, I was appointed to the Alberta Tla-o-qui-aht Health Network and attended our, as a new member of that board, to participate in an orientation that was very successful. Lots of information regarding the work of the ACHN. And my first table of partner meeting will be tomorrow for that, and I will give a report to council at our next council meeting.
Super. Seeing no other ones, moving on to item 13.2. This is the amended item addition. That's a request for the mayor to go to FCM. I believe it'll be the 5th if council is amenable. It'll be the 5th FCM. And I must say it's always been a fantastic conference. It's wonderful to see people from across Canada And it's also a great opportunity to meet ministers, federal staff, and to get an inside look on grants that may come available. And I know we've taken advantage of many of those grants over the years. So, it's a great opportunity. And this year's theme is infrastructure and housing, I believe. So I think that's great topic for Tofino. And so that's why I brought the request for council. So I do have a recommendation here, a motion, but I'll look to council for comments or questions, if there are any. Okay. Then I'll move from the chair that Mayor Law be authorized to attend the Federation of Canadian Municipalities Annual Conference and Trade Show, June 4 to 7, 2026 in Edmonton, Alberta, and being reimbursed for cost in accordance with District of Tofino Council Remuneration Bylaw number 1254/2018. Councillor Thomas seconded. Any other comments? All in favor? Unopposed, motion is carried. Thank you. I'll do my best. For Tofino. Let's go to question period. Ms. Larson, open call for questions.
Thank you, Mayor Law. There are still members of the public in attendance in the gallery as well as over Zoom. So I'll now make an open call for question period. If you're in attendance in person in the gallery, you can raise your hand and be added to the speakers list. If you're attending via Zoom, you can use the Q&A function to enter your name. And as a reminder, before speaking, you'll need to state your name, your residential address, and which agenda item you are asking a question about. So I will now make an open call. Calling once. Calling twice. Calling 3 times. There are no questions.
Super, thank you, Ms. Larson. On that, we will move in close and take a recess. Let's give ourselves a 5-minute recess. What is my? Is my motion? Oh, here it is. That was missing. Would councillor like to move the motion before us? Mr. Thomas?
I move that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to sections 91A, C, F, I, and 92B, 1, 3 of the Community Charter to discuss matters relating to 91A, personal information about an identifiable individual who holds or is being considered for a position as an officer in the municipality or another position appointed by the municipality. 91C, labor relations and other employee relations. 91F, law enforcement. Under the investigation under or enforcement of an enactment. 91I, the receipt of advice and subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. 92B, the consideration of information received and having confidence relating to negotiations, 1, between the municipality and the provincial government and the federal government, or both, or between the provincial government and the federal government, or both, and a third party. 3, between the municipality and the First Nation and a prescribed Indigenous entity, or between a First Nation and a prescribed Indigenous entity and a third.
Seconder. Anybody else? Sloman? Any other comments? All in favor? None opposed, motion carried.